Hello everyone. Welcome to this presentation on the topic, how can AI and IoT help innovate in water utilities industry? Myself, Biplab Das Choudhary, and I'm going to present on this topic in collaboration with Russell Writing and Jolton Kelly. So what's happening in this presentation? We're going to start with a short introduction about myself and the industry experts. Then I'll be doing a brief presentation on the topic of water innovation, role of AI and IoT, and then we'll briefly talk about water utilities industry in Australia. After that, we will be going into a discussion round where I'll be talking with our guests, that is Russell Writing and Jolton Kelly. The end is a presentation where I will be talking about key learnings, innovation mindset, walk through some information portal about utilities industry, and end with a concluding message. My name is Biplab Das Choudhary. I am working as a senior consultant in BPT Janet, Australia. I am associated with Hackmakers as regional ambassador representing Australia, working with them on the community partner program. With me, I have Jolton Kelly and Russell Riding from Melbourne Water Organization. They are working in the automation, innovation, and business enablement side for Melbourne Water. Melbourne Water is a government-run water utilities organization in Melbourne, Victoria. Now that we know each other, I want to start with talking about water innovation. Before that, what is innovation? Well, if you ask me, then innovation is a process which starts with people coming together to understand a problem and then produce solutions which will bring positive changes. It is not always about solving problems, but rather providing better ways to deal with it. Water innovation can be anything, starting from saving water leakages or transitioning from manual inspections to automated inspections using image processing machine learning models. Here are some important data to emphasize why we need water innovation. This data is from Australia. Water supply from desalination is increasing each year. Desalination is a process of converting saline water into a drinkable, usable water, and it is increasing each and every year. 104% increase in the distributed water used by agriculture between 2008-9 and 16-17. 80 liters of water lost by utilities per connection on average day. And this is huge if you think about each and every day, and that's only in Australia. Now, I believe AI will play the role of catalyst in future of water innovation. Now, on to the main topic, IoT, AI, and their role in innovation. IoT is all about sensors and storing sensor data in data systems. IoT has revolutionized the world with impactful changes in the way government and businesses are run and helps them reduce costs and improve processes. On the other hand, AI is changing the world for good. In simple words, we feed computer chips with data, live or archived, and train them about the data, basically create machine learning models. And the result is product which can recognize colors, voice, people, music, and does n number of things with it. When you combine AI and IoT, then the results are magical. IoT works like a data feeder to the AI models. Both concepts come together to create impactful changes. For example, data from IoT devices installed on pipes used for water supply can avoid early pipe failure. Let's move to our next section. In this section, we will talk to our water industry professionals who are working on some interesting water innovation projects for their utilities company. Thanks, Russell and Jordan, for joining us today. I'll start with my first question. Can you please tell us about yourself and what brought you here?
Yes, Russell's my name. I'm the automation team leader at Melbourne Water. I'm here today because of a passion for technologies such as AI, machine learning, and IoT. And I'm hoping to share with everyone the journey we've been on thus far with these technologies.
And my name's Zoltan Kelly. I'm in the business enablement team here at Melbourne Water, and I support the innovation being delivered by the automation team, specifically focusing on the AI and solution design in our cloud platforms.
Thanks, Jordan. Thanks, Russell. Sounds like you guys are doing some really interesting work here. On that note, let's move on to the next question. Can you please tell us about a project, how and why it started, and what you achieved from it?
Yes, Biplab. One good one comes to mind, which is a drainage grate AI project. The current process that we have of determining if a grate on our drainage network is blocked is done via a manual inspection. It's costly and it's time consuming, and it also means that the grate may be blocked for long periods prior to the next inspection. And this means the level of the service for the drain in question is compromised. So an AI project was developed and implemented to try and fix that business problem.
Yeah, so to solve that problem, we're looking at ways so we could measure the blockage that was reliable and was cost effective to install, so we could trigger timely cleaning of the grates to ensure they perform as and when required. Ultimately, we ended up installing IoT devices, which were still image cameras, and an AI solution on top of that that uses image recognition to trigger maintenance of the grates when required. So this reduces the inspection labour costs and increases the asset's level of service by returning it to service faster.
Hey, wow, that is really interesting real life use of AI and IoT. Just for our viewers, let me give some visuals of the project, what you did, so that they have a visual understanding of the project. So I have a couple of images here. The first one is a drainage grate, example of a drainage grate. And what a drainage grate does is it directs stormwater to Melbourne water drainage system pipelines and helps prevent property damages and flooding. Now, this is one many drainage grate example. Now, what technicians do is they used to manually go to the on-site and check this. And some say they went today and they checked, okay, everything looks good. Now, next day it rains or something goes wrong and the drainage is blocked, and the blocked drainages look like this. Okay. And because there is no scheduled inspection, this is not reported, and this leads to property damages or flooding and inconvenience to the community. So what Russell and Jolton did is they used IoT and AI visual recognition models to monitor drainage grates for blockages. And this image shows you that there are multiple cameras installed around drainage grates, and the cameras are reporting if the condition is okay, or they're reporting if it is blocked. I think this is a very cool water innovation project, isn't it? Moving on to the next question. Let's go back to the slide. Moving on to the next question. And the next question is, when you started working in the AI or data science area, did you face any roadblocks? And if yes, how did you overcome them?
Yeah, our biggest roadblock was really the take up of the solution by the business. It's especially the case when you talk to some of our field operations teams. For the drainage grate AI project, field staff didn't really understand how the solution was even possible. And they really preferred the previous solution of manual inspection because it had worked for so many years. There's also a feeling that tech could be doing them out of a job. So, you know, in reality, it's understanding the technology. You know, it's a bit of an unknown. So that was our biggest challenge.
And one of the other challenges we've had is, I guess, working in this cloud IoT space and using some innovative technology and solution that's kind of on the cutting edge or outside the normal standard practices. Our corporate IT team understanding how those solutions work and the technology, and making sure that they're across, that the solutions are robust, that they're secure, and that it's okay to use these in a production setting. And as well as that, we're talking about physical assets in the field, so we need to get those people in the IT space to understand the operational side of the business. So it was a pretty long road to engage them on both that technology side and also educate them on that confluence between the IT side of the business and, I guess, the actual operation space and how that was going to work.
True. It's always you will have some kind of roadblocks. Those were really good points raised. Thanks for sharing, Jolton and Russell. We should always expect roadblocks, more so when people see a change being proposed. I believe this will prep someone for their first innovation project. All right, that was very nice. Thanks, Jolton. Thanks, Russell. I'll move on to the next question. And the next question is, what are the foundational skills required to start an AI innovation project?
Biplab, so to be honest, what we've learned over the past 5 years or so is that the key factors are really not so much AI skills. It's more about understanding the business problem and linking that to potential AI technologies and solutions. Without a problem to solve, AI doesn't really help you at all. And you really need to get that business problem down and understand it really well is the key thing.
And so, yeah, I guess for those of you that are thinking, well, I'd be interested in working in this utility space and what kind of business problems they are. So one way to get that business problem and kind of link up what you're trying to do technically with an actual use case in the real world is rather than looking at just the AI or data science literature, start to look at the industry you're interested in, the use cases and the solutions there. So it could be attending, for example, in the water industry forums in Australia, such as Ozwater or their equivalent, wherever you are, or looking at something like GovHack in Australia. So govhack.org, if you go to that, you can see some of the problems that are put up by actual businesses, institutions, so government and private sector, and look at those problems and understand how you can actually relate those to the technology solutions you want to implement. Or learning, what other industries have done. So, for example, you might look in the telco space and see how that could be applied across to the water sector, or in fast good manufacturing, how those, where they've done a good job of a problem, if you can translate it across to a different area, then that's a really good way to identify a business problem and share that solution. And I guess from a technical perspective, in terms of the foundational skills, learning the principles of data science, so classification, prediction, and also just traditional statistics, it's much more important than the software or the products. The software and products change all the time. If you can get those foundational skills, then those products, whatever you use, become a tool in your hands, and you don't get kind of locked into just using a single technical solution.
Absolutely. Interesting, very interesting points. Domain knowledge is very important. I agree. Unless you spend time to understand the problem, there will not be any solution to build. Thanks a lot. And also, most importantly, as Jordan suggested, learning the base, mainly for the people who are starting their career, learning the basics is very important. It helps in our long-term innovation process. Okay, moving on to the next question. This is our final question as well. The question is, water utilities are not very visible in the innovation space, especially using AI and machine learning. What do you think can be a factor for this?
Well, Biplab, interesting. And to be honest, I don't really agree. I don't think that's 100% true. I think it does vary from utility to utility in the water utilities. There's plenty of innovation happening out there across the nation, from what I understand. And I think it's just more a case that because they're government entities, there's not a lot of public publications around it. There are a few forums where you can get the information, but it's more a case of it's just not widely publicized, I would say, is really what's happening. Haven't had firsthand experience and discussions with a lot of utilities that are working in this space.
Yeah, and just I guess on that, so like if you are interested in data science and solving really complex problems that provide value to the community, I think you should definitely explore the utility space. Look at those industry publications, attend those public forums, see if you can reach out to someone on LinkedIn, because there's lots of examples where utilities have provided efficiencies using these IoT, machine learning, artificial intelligence technologies. And I guess back to that other point, it's that notion of being able to get some domain knowledge and some understanding, then you can become an expert in potentially the water sector or the telco sector or electrical sector. And you'll find that once you get into that space, those business problems will come out more and more, and you'll see these really interesting, complex problems where you've got real world benefits to be provided. It's not just numbers on a page with accounting or commercial space.
Okay. Yep. I'll try to share as much info as possible at the end of this presentation, so that people can go back and look at those websites and see if they are interested to do some more innovation. All right, that ends our interview with Russell and Jolton. Thanks a lot, Russell. Thanks a lot, Jolton, for talking with us today. And I definitely can say that I learned something today. And I think we can all agree that we need more brains to join this quest and bring value to the community. Thanks a lot, guys.
Thanks, Biplab.
Yeah, cheers, Biplab. Thank you.
Wrapping up the presentation now, I'll start with a note: everyone can innovate. The only thing you need is an innovative mindset. It consists of three ingredients: creativity, knowledge of the business, and perseverance. And anyone can improve inventiveness. As we heard, Russell and Jolton from Melbourne Water are doing great innovation after overcoming some really challenging roadblocks. We also heard that industry experts believe learning the technology is not enough. We need to work on the other foundational skills like the principles of data science. Lastly, there is so much content over the internet, starting from Memory Water webpage, IoT Hub, Hack is really good. This is what Jordan was talking about. There are other web pages as well, which talks about water innovation. Also, I have shared links of these websites in this slide. This slide will be available on the Build with AI hackathon page. I hope it helps you to get started in water innovation. Finally, I hope you had a great time in this presentation. Thanks a lot for joining me.